So as we stated previously, said previously, the next quiz for the course will be shared tomorrow. The link will be shared in the Telegram group tomorrow, and after that, it will be available for the next 5 days till this Friday. Then on Saturday, we shall discuss the answers to that. And also, Saturday shall most probably be the last session for this course. So after this course will be terminated, and the final quiz will be shared. So unlike what we had said in the beginning, there shall be totally 3 quizzes for this course, and the total number of points shall be 75. So once the last quiz is shared, people who are eligible to get the certificate will receive it through their email. And also those who want to retake any of the quizzes, or those who will not immediately receive the certificate, can also do the same after this. And later the recordings and these options will be available for around 1 or 2 months after the course ends. So any queries so far from all the sessions till now, or yesterday's session?
Hare Rama, brother.
Hare Rama.
What were the 2 new mantras you just recited?
Which one exactly?
In the starting of the session. 2 new mantras you just said.
There was only one extra one which I recited. That is Namostu Anantaya Sahasramurtaye Sahasrapadakshi Shiroru Bahave Namaha Sahasranamne Purushaya Shashvate Sahasrakoti Yugadharine Namaha. This is not a mantra exactly, it's a shloka from one of the Puranas, if I remember correctly. And this is recited during Sandhya Vandana by all Dvijas and even Advijas also.
Oh, okay, brother. It is there in the handbook, right?
No, it's not in the Tattvavaada Vaishnava handbook. This will be shared in a detailed guide on Sandhya Vandana, which we shall be releasing soon on our website. So this is one of our upcoming projects, which has been reviewed by Guruji also. And this is one publication which we are making, where we shall be posting an ebook on Sandhya Vandana in accordance with the Sandhya Vandana Vidhis of different Vedas, and also the Pauranika Sandhya Vandana. So the Pauranika Sandhya Vandana is a special type of Vidhi which can be practiced by anyone, regardless of Varna or any such restrictions. So this Pauranika Sandhya Vandana Vidhi was actually once popularized in Karnataka by the king Sri Jayachamrajendra Vadeyar. So he had compiled it properly from the Shastras and popularized it among his subjects. So we are also sharing the same soon on our website, and this will include the Pauranika Gayatri Mantra. So more details about this shall be shared subsequently. And any queries so far?
Okay, brother.
What is the difference between mantra and a shloka? So a mantra is usually a statement or a sentence of the Vedas, or a type of prayer which invokes a devata, specifically meant for certain rituals. So similarly, there are mantras in the tantras also. In the Agama Shastras, those can be chanted even by the Advijas, but Veda mantras can be recited only by those who are Dvijas, and that is who have had Upanayana and who are Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas. So other than that, every other Shastra contains shlokas or just simple vakyas or sutras. That depends on the Grantha, but the Itihasas and Puranas and the Agamas also contain shlokas. So shlokas are similar vakyas, except they aren't with proper swaras or with specific restrictions on how they should be chanted. So if you see the Veda mantras, they have certain rules with which they should be chanted, and the exact manner, and they are of different types of chandases. So a chandas is the usually many people translate it as poetic meter, but precisely it is the arrangement of the phonetic words in that entire sentence and how it sounds. So Chanda Shastra itself is one of the Vedangas which is compulsory to be studied for anyone who is learning the Veda, and which also should be studied by anyone who is into learning Samskrita properly. So again, for this also there are many books and it's detailed, but again, most of the shlokas in the Puranas especially are in Anushtup Chanda. So that is precisely Arshi Anushtup Chanda. That is, they contain a total of 32 aksharas or letters. So the first half contains 16, the second half contains 32. That's the way it usually is. Does that make it clear?
Yes, brother.
Any further queries?
Hare Rama, Pragya Mahodaya. I just had one question, but before that, I wanted to share something. Can I?
Sure, Srimati.
Yeah, to Rajeshri's question about that shloka that you chanted, no? Sahasramurtaye Sahasrapadakshi. So that is there in the Phalashruti of Vishnu Sahasranama. Vishnu Sahasranama is a very popular shloka. You can get it no, from YouTube also. Subbulakshmi's version is there. Chalakere brothers' version is there. So many are there. There in the Phalashruti, towards the end, you can listen to that. I mean, you can listen to the that particular shloka which he chanted. So that's there. And so am I right, Pragya Mahodaya? You have heard about it?
Yes, but the thing is, it's not, the source is not the Vishnu Sahasranama exactly. So it's not in the Mahabharata itself. That is added
Yes.
subsequently because there are many such shlokas from the Puranas which are added along with that, usually while chanting.
Yes, yes. True. And regarding the mantras and shlokas, just one comment I wanted to make. Shloka is, it's said that in the, when we study the Sanskritam, they say that shokat jayate iti shlokaha. That is shoka rupa. When a person is in shoka, then his consciousness I mean, not ordinary people, and we are speaking of rishis and maharshis. So Valmiki's the Adikavya Ramayanam is said to be of that type, where when he saw the two birds, dying, when the Vyadha shot one bird dead, and the other bird also died out of extreme dukkha. Then Valmiki was overcome by the shoka of the birds dying, and the Ramayana shlokas just flowed out of his mukha. So shloka is shoka jayate, and the mantras are mantrana. That is, it has been properly churned, contemplated upon, and then they have come out of the rishi's mind. So that is my understanding. Prajna Mahodaya can, validate.
That is correct only. That's one way of interpreting them.
Okay. So the question that I had is this: all the Madhva Yatis have a name ending with Tirtha.
Yes.
So is this Tirtha name given to all the Yatis, or has it got anything to do with the Dashanami Sampradaya of Adi Shankara?
So this is given to all the sannyasis in the Madhva Sampradaya usually, and this is actually common to all many of the Vaidika Sampradayas. This is not something to do with the Smartha Sampradaya exactly, but they also have this in common because it's a practice advocated by the Vedas only. And even in our Sampradaya also, we have a few sannyasis who did not receive the title Tirtha after sannyasa. So, but usually that's the case, that they're given the title Tirtha. So does that clarify it?
Yes. Okay. So like Vadiraja, Sripada, so we hear of Sripada Vadiraja. So there he doesn't have Tirtha name, no?
He had the name Tirtha. His name was Vadiraja Tirtha only.
Oh, okay. Okay, I didn't know.
There is one story about Raghavendra Swami though, which was published by some Madhva Vidwan only in a newspaper that I'm not sure whether this is 100% reliable, but it said that Raghavendra Swami is usually not known as Raghavendra Tirtha because he once gave away his surname Tirtha as a donation to someone who asked for something as a donation from him. Also, a few sannyasis like Sri Rajashekarananda Swamiji and Sri Isha Vittala Dasa Swamiji, who are from Mangaluru, Udupi only, they also did not receive the title Tirtha. Especially in the case of Rajashekarananda Swamiji, it was because he was not a Brahmin by caste during his Purvashrama. So, to avoid controversy, since some people had an issue with that, he himself did not take up that title.
Okay. Thank you, Prajna Mahodaya. I have a few more questions, but maybe I'll ask a little later.
Sure. Guruji will also join in a while now. So at that time, he'll also be able to answer them better.
Okay.
Yes, Rajashri, any queries?
Yes, brother. I was asking that Sri Raghavendra Swami gave that title to the person, the Tirtha title. So, was that person a sannyasi?
No, he was a Grihastha only. And supposedly, as per that article, his descendants are there today who are Grihastha Brahmanas only, and they still have the surname Tirtha, though they're not sannyasis.
Oh, okay, brother. Thank you.
So, as discussed
Prajna
in...
Mahodaya, if nobody has any questions, shall I ask?
Sure.
Okay. Can you, I think you have answered this, whatever question I'm asking, I think you have answered this couple of times, but can you please repeat about the Amshavataras and Aveshavataras with examples? Can you explain how it happens and how do we understand that?
Sure. So, Avesha is a temporary effect where there is a presence of an additional soul in a body, along with the soul who actually inhabits that body. So, there will be temporarily two atmas. So, usually this can be a devata or an asura. So, when an asura possesses that person, it's said to be asura Avesha. And this sometimes happens even in the case of the devatas. And so when it happens in the case of Bhagavan, where an Amsha of Bhagavan himself appears as a second Amsha or an Atma in the body of a certain living entity, that is his Avesha Avatara. So similarly, Shiva, Adishesha, Garuda, all of them are Avesha Avataras because sometimes they possess the Avesha of Vishnu in them. And similarly, Mukhya Pranadeva also has the Avesha of Vishnu. So that is why in many rituals it is said, Suryantargata Bharati Ramana Mukhya Prana Antargata Sri Lakshmi Narayana Preranaya. So Vishnu resides in Mukhya Prana as his Antaryami. In the sense, he an Amsha of him resides as a second soul in him. So along with that, permanently Bhagavan is present within the individual soul also, but next to the individual soul, where the Atma is said to be in the heart of the body, there sometimes in such cases, a Devata or an Asura can manifest as a second Atma there. So that is called Avesha. Now, in the case of Bhagavan Sakshat Avataras, it is where a form of Bhagavan himself will appear like a human being or any other form of a living being and will stay here in the material world for some time. So, so most of the Sakshat Avataras of Bhagavan, the Sakshat Avataras are those who are his Abhinna Amshas. So, Abhinna means not separate from him. So, or not a different personality or anything like that. So, the Abhinna Amshas are those who are Sakshat Bhagwan, such as Rama, Krishna, Parashurama, Vyasa, Dhanvantari, Narasimha, and all the other avatars of Bhagwan. So, Matsya, Varaha, Kurma. And the Aveshas, for example, like Rubhu are those who are living entities in reality, but temporarily they get possessed by Bhagwan, and he uses them as his instrument for performing whatever actions he wants. So they are not Sakshat Bhagwan, but they're still mortal beings only. So the Sri Vaishnavas actually consider most of Bhagwan's avatars to be mortal beings only, or Avesha avatars. For example, even Parashurama, Vyasa, and many others are considered by them to be Avesha avatars, though we disagree here. And so that is the main difference between Aveshas and Sakshat avatars, or the Abhinna Amshas and Bhinna Amshas. So the Aveshas are said to be Bhinna Amshas, or even other living entities are similarly said to be a portion of Paramatma, because we have a fraction of his qualities. So by that logic, even we and everyone else are said to be Bhinna Amshas. So I hope that clarifies it.
Yes, so this Amsha Avatara is not there. It's a different concept, is it?
Amsha Avatara is in the sense it can be Bhinna or Abhinna. So the term Amsha Avatara is slightly ambiguous, in the sense that it can either mean that Amsha of Bhagwan is Bhagwan himself, or an Amsha of Bhagwan is present in another living entity. But the Amshas of Bhagwan are always Bhagwan himself. There is no difference between his Amsha and himself, because he is infinite, and a fraction of infinity is always infinity only. So that is one reason why Sri Madhvacharya wrote the Narasimha Nakastuti. That is praising Narasimha's nail, because Narasimha's nail is also Narasimha himself only. And his nail is also he himself, who is infinitely powerful.
Yes, true. And through his nails only he attacked Hiranyakashipu, no? So that also makes it. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Prajna Madhya. Hare Rama.
Hare Rama. Any more queries? Will you make small clips on the important topics of Tattvavaada sessions of past 4 months and post on YouTube? That will help to recall these topics. Yes, we are planning to post certain important clips, especially of Guruji's talks here on YouTube on our channel. So we'll be doing that soon. So yesterday, as discussed by Guruji, the main thing which we need is to have the desire to know Bhagwan and to understand him, and to constantly be in remembrance of him. So again, the main thing which we need to have is bhakti and jnana. So as we had previously discussed long ago, the method of attaining yoga, that is union with Paramatma, is said to be of two types in the Vishnu Purana's sixth Amsha. So one is jnana and another is karma. So the same thing has actually been explained in a better way in the Parama Samhita, in the first chapter of the Parama Samhita, which is a Pancharatra Agama. And I discovered this just recently while reading it. So there are two shlokas which say, the 63rd and the 64th shloka, Jnanam kriyeti dvividam cheshtitam sarva dehinam jnanadhikyad vimuktihi syat karmadhikyat tu samsritihi. So the meaning of this shloka is that jnana and karma are the two types of activities of all the embodied beings. So those are supposed to be our activities. So karma literally means action, and that again, as said in the Bhagavata Purana, we'll be performing them at all times. But along with that, we also need to obtain jnana. So these are the two important things. And here, so the excess of jnana, when there is actually a high amount of jnana, it will lead to mukti. So mukti is the para of that jnana. So subsequently, mukti obviously comes along with aparoksha jnana. So here, as discussed in the previous sessions also, our ultimate goal should be bhakti, that is paripakva bhakti, and to obtain aparoksha jnana. That is the stage of bhakti which we obtain when we have achieved aparoksha jnana. So, and from karma, we get to live. Samsrutihi, that is life. Life takes place due to karma. But at the same time, the karmas are also required, but karmas provide a limited result. So, the parinama of karma is limited, but jnana is adya antika vivarjita. That is, it is devoid of a beginning or an end, and that is why jnana also the jnana provides unlimited results. So the result which we obtain from aparoksha jnana is permanent. So that is why these are the two important things. But again, without performing any karmas, we cannot maintain our lives also, or we cannot stay alive. So that is why even in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna himself tells Arjuna in the 18th adhyaya that niyatasya atu sannyasah karmano nopapadyate mohat tasya parityaga tamasah parikirtitah, which means that abandoning whatever actions we are supposed to perform is due to moha, and that is actually a result due to tamoguna. So that is due to the influence of tamas. It is not something which will lead us to anything good. So this is why karma yoga is also important. So as Guruji also once quoted in one of the older sessions, that there is this story in the Mahabharata about how this how a certain brahmana took up sannyasa and abandoned his karma yoga. He did not look after his parents in their old age. He just left to the forest and took up sannyasa. But later on, once he had performed enough tapasya, he burnt a bird in the forest. Then he thought he has achieved aparoksha jnana and has obtained all the necessary results which he had to obtain. Then he went to a random village and he went there begging for his daily food. And when he went there to a house where there was a woman, she was about to give him something, but her husband just returned and she went to help him. Then she forgot for a few minutes about this Brahmin, and when she came back, he again became angry and was thinking about her the same way how he looked at the bird which was burned to ashes. Then that lady just laughed at him and said, "I am not the bird you just burnt." And finally, he was surprised and he asked why or how she knew everything that happened to him when he was in a remote forest with no one else in sight. Then she directed him to go to a butcher called Dharmaveda. So that butcher, he saw this Brahmin who approached him in a while, and he said, "That lady there in the far off village must have sent you here." So again, he was surprised as to how the butcher also knew him. And finally, the truth is, both of them were perfectly involved in karma yoga, and they also had achieved aparoksha jnana in a similar way through bhakti and jnana. So in the process, they were still visibly they were seeming to be like materialistic people, but that was not the case, and they were actually doing all their duties perfectly and in remembrance of Paramatma. So that is what leads to yoga or union. Any questions still here?
No, brother. No, brother.
Actually, it's kind of repeats in the story where of that Vishnu Purana which you have shared, no? Keshi Dwaja and Khandikyas. There also, they both do karma yoga in their own way, and then they finally attain aparoksha jnana. Um, Right, right. So actually, I had a question there. In the case of Keshidhwaja and Khandik. Okay. Hare Rama Guruji, I had a question there. Can you hear me?
Yes, Guruji can.
Yeah. So, Pragya Mahodaya was telling us the story of Dharma Vyada and how the Brahmana encounters, yeah. And so how Karma Yoga helps towards Aparoksha Jnana and all that. And then I shared that the same thing happens with Keshidhwaja and Khandikya and the story, it is there in the Vishnu Purana, which he has shared. So there also it is the same thing.
Which story?
Which
story, that is?
The story of Keshidhwaja and Kandikya, the two kings.
No, I'm not aware of that story. Is it short? You can tell me.
So the story basically was that Keshidhwaja was a king who overthrew his brother Kandikya, who was previously the king, and Keshidhwaja became the king that way, and he was his cousin, actually, to be precise, and he later banished Kandikya to the forest, and but one day when he was performing a yajna, one of his cows was killed by a tiger, and Keshidhwaja was told to resort back to Kandikya and ask for the solution, because Kandikya was aware of it. And later when he went there, and he was finally instructed what the Prayashchita was, and Kandikya in return asked him to grant the jnana of Adhyatma, which Keshidhwaja possessed, and Keshidhwaja did it. And that is mostly the contents of the 7th adhyaya of the 6th amsha.
Okay. Yeah. She can continue. She can.
So my question there was, I mean, I don't remember who lost the kingdom to whom, but one of them loses the kingdom to the other one. So, do we take that? I mean, that as the bhagya or fate, or do we treat it like that? When Bhagavan coming, showing, coming in the form of fate there, and then the turning point in their life happens. Do we understand it that way? That was my question.
Okay. A similar story happens even in the story of Alarka. You heard of his name, Alarka? Alarka is a disciple of Dattatreya.
No, Guruji, I have not heard about Alarka.
Dattatreya has two major, of course, all the devas are all his disciples, but two major well-known disciples of Dattatreya, I hope is well-known. Dattatreya, you heard of him?
Yes, Guruji, he's the son of Atri Maharshi and Anusuya.
Exactly.
He's Vishnu himself. Am I right?
Yes. Correct. So he had, amongst human beings, two famous disciples. One is Alarka, another is Kartyavirya Arjuna. Kartyavirya Arjuna, whom later Parashurama killed.
So Guruji, Kartavirya Arjuna is the same one as we encounter in the Ramayana where Ravana was caught by Kartavirya Arjuna in his arms and.
Yes, yes. That Kartyavirya Arjuna was killed by Parashurama later.
Okay, Guruji.
Another famous disciple is Alarka. Alarka um, Alarka is very famous on account of his being a disciple of Dattatreya. His mother is even more famous as a spiritual figure. Her name is I'm just from Ma, her name is Madalasa. Madalasa. Alarka's mother, Madalasa. So the first two sons of Madalasa were very capable, and they became they would be kings, but they were very, very renounced in their attitude towards the world. So they were very wise people. They did not take interest in the kingdom. They went away. But then when they saw that Alarka is too engrossed in the kingdom and these things, one of his brothers, elder brothers, that is one of those two who had renounced the kingdom and gone, he makes alliance with some other king who is an enemy of Alarka and helps him to defeat Alarka in battle. You listening? Hello?
Yes, Guruji, I think I've read this story in one of the Puranas. I
Yes.
think it's in Mahabharata itself. There she
No,
gives a very elaborate lecture to Alarka to win back his kingdom and.
Markandeya Purana.
Okay.
Markandeya Purana, it comes in. Very elaborately, it comes in Markandeya Purana. So, the point what I'm trying to make is that there also, Alarka was given that defeat, that defeat, because Alarka becomes very disappointed in life. He thinks to himself, if my brother wanted my kingdom, if he would have just come and asked me, I would have given. Why did he have to make alliance with my enemy king and then make him defeat me? It was unnecessary. So that the demeanor of his brother made him utterly disappointed with life itself, not just the kingdom. And then he opens one a secret paper, a secret piece of wisdom that was written by his mother. He had left it for him, and she had told that only in your worst time open this, not otherwise. So he worshipped it and opened it, and then saw in it the lesson of his life, and then he meets Dattatreya and all this happens. So the point I'm making is that defeat served as a turning point to him. So you might just be right about that reflection that you had about the said defeat between Keshidwaja and his cousin. It could be orchestrated by God Himself. Any defeat, loss of kingdom, and so on.
Yes, Guruji, and then extrapolating it to our own life, whenever we encounter difficulties or situations where we feel that we can't do anything, maybe that is, we have to take it like a turning point and look inwards and then move forward.
In that sense, those defeats are truly stepping stones to success. Because God's definition of success is often different from ours. You see, one of the names of Mahabharata is Jaya. And Jaya means success, right? Actually,
Yes, Guruji.
the name that Vedavyasa himself has called the Mahabharata right at the invocation is Jaya. Mahabharata is an Anvarthanama, which has become more popular than its name, Jaya. Nobody calls it as Jaya. But if Vedavyasa, the author of the Mahabharata, if he himself has given a name to the Mahabharata, it is Jaya. Because at the invocation, at the very beginning, at the onset, he says, Tato Jaya Mudiraye.
Guruji, yesterday you had left us with a question. I was not present in the class yesterday, but I heard the recording. And you left us with a question that you asked question about God. I think it was something like that. So,
Yeah.
Do we? My question is, will we ever be able to answer that question? Because the way we answer that question, then the very idea or the definition or idea about Bhagavan that we have, he is Ananta. So it is impossible for anybody to fully answer the question about Bhagavan. That is my understanding.
No, but he will not challenge you at a level that you ought not to be. A question is in some way a challenge. God challenges everyone. What is a question? Let's try to understand from there. What is a question? If there is something that is way beyond the abilities of your comprehension, that you would never be able to comprehend something. There are such things that we will never be able to comprehend, no matter what. And we would not be expected to comprehend such. Comprehend about
Your voice is
Ananta.
breaking, Guruji.
What was the last thing that was heard clearly?
You mentioned that we will not be expected to answer such things.
Yeah. Then I said that there are things that only Lakshmi can comprehend and none other than Lakshmi can comprehend. Even Brahma cannot comprehend, even if he tries with all his might. Was that audible?
Yes, Guruji.
So, so now I said that because so that we understand what is a question. A question is something that challenges us and coaxes us to go forward in our understanding. So a question is only as much meaningful in as in if it does that. And God doesn't intend to throw around His weight in such a way that it intimidates us for no reason. So when there is a question, that is to elevate us or make us arise to a level of awareness that we are entitled to. That is what a question is. Otherwise, it's not a question. So a question is always coaxing us to arise to a level of awareness that we have not yet arisen to. Does that make sense?
Yes, Guruji. Yes, I'm trying to make sense of what you're trying to explain. I mean, the whole entire life that we have, this Janma is to ask questions and get answers. And every Janma is.
No, but what I'm
is
saying
like
is,
that.
The questions often, like if you're sitting in a physics class or something, they teach you that you need to question, and questions are the way to answer, is the way to knowledge. But life is such a way that it poses questions to you. You may not be wanting to ask. So it just comes to you. The question comes to you. You need to just allow questions. You need to be able to sit with the question. Like we often say in English, if this is so, then the question arises. The question always arises. The question is never made up. If it is made up, it's not a real question. Was it audible?
Yes, Guruji. I've understood what you're trying to say. More clear now.
If the question doesn't arise, then it is not a real question. It is just a mental concoction. And while speaking, you might hear in conversations in the Upanishads, even in Garga and Maitreyi's conversation in the court of Janaka, when Maitreyi asks a certain question that has not arisen, but she has just made up that question using some terminologies. Garga, Maitreyi is like condemned for, like she's like not condemned, what's the word, like chastised for doing such a thing. That question really doesn't exist. You made it up. Like for example, the classical question, if God is all powerful, can He make a stone that He Himself cannot lift? Now, is that a question? It's a made up thing. Have you come across people asking that question to you? Yeah, I have come across. It's the classical retort of an atheist.
Multiple times, Guruji, like people often ask why God is not appearing, or when they are in difficulty, they say, "What is your God doing? Why is He not helping?" We have come across this many times.
That question is more towards kind of there's a haste in that, and there's a disappointment in that. Because they are thinking that they are entitled to see God, which is childish. But I'm speaking about a question like, if God is all powerful, if God can do anything, then can he create a stone which he himself can't lift? Because they think that they are being intelligent in asking that question. Because if he creates that stone, then that means that goes against the very definition of God, that he's all powerful. There's an inherent contradiction in that question. They say, if God is all powerful, can he create a stone which he himself can't lift? Prajna, is that question understood?
Yes, Guruji.
It was heard, right? Audible. Okay.
Yes, Guruji.
So there's an inherent contradiction there. You could what we should ask them back is, why would he do so? Even if he can. So I'm speaking about such questions which are mere mental concoctions. They are not questions that have arisen out of a genuine application to reality. So those questions are not some prashna. Some prashna is one that arises in you, and it keeps gnawing at your very essence, that it doesn't allow you to rest in peace. It breaks you to pieces rather if you don't attend to that. The more you try to suppress it, the more it arises. Most of the philosophies in this world have been fabricated with the one intent of suppressing some prashna. Most of the theories, most of the ideologies in the world have not come up of a genuine seeking of the truth. They have come up because of the guilt that they felt of not being able to address some prashna. It is one thing to suppress a question, and it is another thing to actually take it up and pursue it and attain its answer. You could suppress a question, and you might have come across a lot of teachers who do that, who have done that to you. You ask a certain question, they don't know the answer, but they don't want to admit that they don't know, so they will give some answer to that. It's like that, and it's like this, and it's like that. So you can suppress a question. There's a classical story that there was a monist who was teaching lessons to his student in the forest. So the monist guru was saying that everything is a lie, everything is false, nothing exists really. And then while they were teaching this lesson, then there's a mad elephant that charges at them. And the monist guru gets up and starts running. And then the student also runs after him, but then while running, he asks his teacher that if everything is false, why are you running from this elephant? So the monist guru, there's no answer to that. So he suppresses that by saying, hey, come on, the very fact that we are running is also false. Does that answer his question?
No, Guruji.
How do you know if really a question is answered? If a question is really answered, it stops gnawing at you. A question that is not properly answered always stays. So that we need to look inside and find if our question is really answered. That only your deepest conscience can testify if the question is really answered. So in that spirit, we saw that God is samprashna. Samprashna. Tam samprashnam bhuvanayanti. The vigor of a real question. You can see that in Nachiketa. If you're familiar with Kathopanishad, Nachiketa had a question. That was a question. It had arisen in his heart. When a question arises, it makes you pursue it with utmost sincerity. It gives you the utmost vairagya. Yama saw that vairagya in Nachiketa. Yama offers him in return. In the sense, he asks Nachiketa, you just suspend that question and I will give you anything else that you can ever ask. Shatayusham putra pautran vranishva bhumer mahadayatanam vranishva swayam cha jiva sharado yavadichasi. You live as long as you want. Ask for a life as long as you want. Ask for a palatial house in the earth, as big as maybe no one never has ever had. You ask for the riches as you please. Ask for all kinds of wealth and of the other worlds. I'll grant you all that. Just leave that question. But Nachiketa insisted, no, that anything else can't equal the answer to my question. Because Nachiketa had realized that his question will remain. So that is the proof that that question has arisen for him. Unless that question has arisen to you, the answer that is given to that question will not serve as an answer to you. Which means that it will not be wisdom to you. It will just be a piece of information that you will not know how to apply. Or that what it means, you would not know. You're able to make sense? I hope you are familiar with the story of Nachiketa and Yama that comes in Kathopanishad. I'm just trying to help you understand what is the question that what it really means to understand God as Samprashna. Yo na pita janita yo vidhata dhamani veda bhuvanani vishwa yo devanam namadha eka eva tam samprashnam bhuvanayanti anyasvasti. It is not important, as they might have taught you in science or mathematics classes, to come up with a question. No. Question will come on its own. What is important is to sit with that question, is to find value in that question, to hold on to that question and understand the call of that question. Understand the calling of that question and to answer to that. Only a pure soul can do that. Yesterday we spoke about Bhrigu and Varuna. How when he went to his father Varuna with a question, how his father made him sit with that question and guided him through his stages of finding the answer to it. We see this in the Taittiriya, in the Bhrigu. Today we again try to understand what is Samprashna through another incident, classical incident of Nachiketa and Yama. That what sitting with the question that has arisen, how it leads you to a heightened awareness that is yours. Bhagavad Gita is a more known thing that we all can take, because the question arose to Arjuna. He did not make it up. A question is very serious. It's not something that you can optionally entertain. Arjuna did not want to entertain that question. If something has struck Arjuna down, if it is not a weapon, there's no weapon that has struck Arjuna down at that point of time. It is the question. That he sat with. It was difficult to sit with that question. He hoped that Arjuna hoped that question had never arisen. But it arose. And he had to answer the call. He had to answer that call. The question is as serious as death. You can't ignore death. Your answer. It's a moment of reality that you have to answer. You have to answer. And question is a similar moment of reality when it arises. And Arjuna, the way the question arose to him in such an unfavorable situation. The situation in which he was not like a sage sitting in the forest. It was amidst a battle. And the question arose, and that question was important. He was guided through the path of sitting with that question. Questions arose even in the mind of Duryodhana, but he is not a person who sits with the question to pursue it. So we see that some prashna, how Arjuna sat with. Nachiketa, Yama. When Yama offered him 3 varas, 3 boons, for not being able to attend him to 3 days, the last boon, Nachiketa says that I want answer to this question. It was a question. Let's not worry now what that question was. I'm only trying to here make you acquainted with what is a question. Question is a standard way that life teaches us. When we used to, even there's that classical picture of, all of us are familiar with that picture of Arjuna standing on the chariot with his bow, and the horses, the reins are in Krishna's hand, and he's sitting down as a charioteer at the place of the driver, and Arjuna is standing on the chariot and fighting. When a person who is not familiar with this, like when Croatians, when Russians, when other country people, many of them, when I encountered, that they saw, unaware, when they saw this, if I told them that the one who is sitting here down as a charioteer, as a driver, he is God, they said, why no, the one who must be standing, he must be God. That very picture, that God is sitting as a charioteer, as a driver, and then the charioteer, the Atiratha, the Maharatha fighting on that chariot is a nobody in front of God. That poses a question in the mind of a person who has a general concept of God as being the Almighty and somebody who sits on a big throne always and throws his weight around. So when they have such a imagery, this image makes them question that image. Why is it that God, the all-powerful, is sitting in an inferior position as a driver to someone who is apparently a nobody to him? He is not only apparent, in every way he is a nobody to him. In the sense, nobody in the sense, he's not comparable to him in his abilities. Of course, Krishna is a charioteer to him because Arjuna and every one of you, even you or me, we mean a lot to God. Not because we have abilities to compete with him. No, not because of that. Not because of that. It's because he thinks, God thinks that we are all his part and parcel. In the sense, we are all part and parcel of his being, existentially, not because of some other reason. His vision is that. He says that in the Bhagavad Gita, Mamaiva amsho jiva loke jiva bhutah sanatana. He sees us as inseparable, like we say about our own close friends. He's part of my life. We say that, right? Similarly, God says that about every one of us. He says that jiva, every jiva is my part of my being. So from his side, you understand what he feels and what he thinks, how he sees it. And unless you think that he is deluded, the way he sees is sustained through all phases of existence. It's a constant. It's a constant. In Ananta Kala. That is why he is answering Arjuna's questions. But it takes that sincerity to sit with the question. We need to come out of our comfort zones and our attachments to comfort. It was a great discomfort for Arjuna to come to that decision to fight the battle. There is that discomfort, and accepting that discomfort is what is called as tapasya. The sages voluntarily accept the discomfort of being in the open, in the jungle. Ignoring the bodily difficulties of heat and cold, rain, and maybe lack of food sometimes, or even the danger of wild animals and other such dangers in the forest. It's a voluntary acceptance. That is what is called as tapa. And that is why Krishna at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, he says that a person who is not having tapa, this knowledge should not be told to that person. Idam te na tapaskaya na bhaktaya kadachana na cha ashushrushuve vachyam na chavam yobhyasuyati. Krishna says, never say this knowledge to somebody who is not having tapa. Fine. Was that clear? Is there anything to ask? You can ask. Somebody, if someone has a question, please come. If something was not understood, or if you want to make, if there's any comment.
Guruji, I had a question on Swabhava. Can I ask?
Okay, I just wanted to know if this was clear about some prashna.
Yes, Guruji, it was very clear.
Okay. Yeah, please. Kumar.
Yes. So, I mean, in the Tattvavaada, it is said that every jiva has a particular swabhava, tamasika, rajasika, or satvika, or a mixture. And then we also know that Prakriti is said to be Trigunatmika. Uh, it is either Satvika, Rajasika, or Tamasika. So, how to understand those two things, like the Satvika of uh, the Satvika nature of the Jiva and the Satvika nature of Prakriti? Are they same or are they different?
They are different in the sense that the elements that constitute Prakriti, they wield an effect on the jiva as per the conscious intent of God. So they could have an influence on somebody who is Sattvika. It's possible that a person who is Sattvika by his own Swabhava would come under the influence of another guna which is not as per his Swabhava. Maybe Tamasika or Rajasika. He could come under the influence, and under the Tamasic influence, his Sattva could get suppressed for some time. Such a thing happens. So definitely they are different. Before Krishna came, lot of kings, even the father of Draupadi, Drupada, Damaghosha, many kings, many kings. They were all very sattvic kings who are highly dharmic. But they were suppressed under the might of the tamasic influence of Jarasandha. They could not express their true swabhavas owing to the overwhelming influence of Jarasandha. But when Krishna defeated Jarasandha and it became known everywhere, it is then that these kings understood that we no longer need to accede to Jarasandha because we have a support for dharma. Our affiliation to dharma can be, we can live it, we can live that. So yeah, it's different. They're two different things. But every influence is as per the conscious will of a higher being. If something has to influence you, then it has to be stronger than you. You understand that?
Yes, Guruji. So, is it the same as Prabhava, the
Yes.
gunas of Prakriti? Is it the same as what the term Prabhava that is used?
Yeah. When we understand that they are different, when we understand that Swabhava that Jiva has, and the Trigunatmika that we speak about Prakriti, when we understand that they are different, then one becomes Swabhava, the other becomes Prabhava. But when you are
And this
embodied in the
Prabhava
body,
is, I mean, it is there eternally with us. The
no, you will be, when your liberation means that you will be situated in your own Swabhava. Your Swabhavika Bala, the strength of your Swabhava will become so much that you will never be overcome by any Prabhava. You will be what you are, no matter what. That is liberation, isn't it? Liberation is the ability to be yourself. How many of us have that ability?
So, how to identify that, Guruji?
Well, the way to identify is our own inner conscience. Because there is no diagnostic manual yet that human beings, or even the gods for that matter, has come up with. Each Swabhava is unique. You will know in your conscience if you have. That is why it is so important to be truthful, to live by the code of dharma. Why do we practice? Why do we cultivate good qualities? Why do we practice good conduct? So that we will be enabled to arrive at our Swabhava. That is the reason for good conduct. Good conduct is not a mere means to win the minds of others, showing that you are somebody great. Although we are trained to believe that in our lives, the real purpose of good conduct, all the good qualities, they are Satyam, Tapaha, Shaucham, Tejaha, Kshama, Dhritihi, Ahimsa, Akrodaha, Abhayam, Sattva Samshuddhihi, Jnana Yoga Vyavasthitihi, Daya Bhuteshu, Aloluptvam, not entertaining greed. All these qualities, what is the purpose of these qualities? No doubt everybody understands the purpose as being everybody thinks that it is to show yourself as a good, lovable, adorable, trustworthy human being so that you can be a participant in the society in an acceptable way to everyone. But that is not the real purpose of those good qualities. The purpose of those good qualities is the very question that you asked me just now. How to identify. If you are not cultivating those Daivi Guna qualities, there is no way you will be identified, and no one can help. No one. Even God can't help. Can't in the sense he does not. That's what he tells Arjuna. That why is the Bhagavad Gita not being told to Duryodhana? Why has God not helped Duryodhana the way he is helping Arjuna? Because he doesn't possess the ability to see the goodness, to see the wisdom in what God is telling. He will only be able to see the wisdom in what God is telling him if he has these qualities of good conduct, of Daivi Guna, what We call it as Daivi Guna, Daivi qualities. He lists those qualities many times in the Bhagavad Gita. Once in the 13th chapter, once in the 15th chapter, and the one that I mentioned just now is from the 16th chapter, at the very beginning, at the very onset, starting of the 16th chapter. We see these kinds of listing in the Bhagavad Gita of qualities. Only when those qualities are there, there is a possibility for us to identify our true self, our swabhava. Otherwise, we will be lost to ourselves and no one can help us. That is why dharma is important. Tapah parahi bhuyaso gunaha, Mahabharata says. All good qualities are to enable you to perform the tapasya that brings you to identify your swabhava. You understand this equation?
Yes, Guruji. Very clear.
Think on this. This is just a clue. It is in the same direction if you go forward. There's more to learn. Prajna, I'll conclude at this.
Okay, Guruji.
Thank you all for participating in this Jnana Yajna. And we pray that God bestows His blessings and anugraha on all of us, on all of you all who are taking time in this kind of a scenario of the world where everybody is after so much greed and whatnot. So it's a very wonderful thing that's happening. And again, I heartily congratulate all of you being able to participate in this. Hare Rama, Narayana. Is there any question further I can take up, Prajna?
Someone had asked a question on YouTube. So a few sessions back it was said that Yudhishthira was influenced by Kalipurusha in the Sabha where Draupadi was disrobed. So how can an Aparoksha Jnani like Yudhishthira be influenced by Kalipurusha?
You had mentioned like that?
I had quoted Sri Madhvacharya's statement from the Mahabharata Tattvavaada that Yudhishthira had the Avesha of Kalipurusha when that happened.
Bhishma also was influenced.
Yes, Guruji.
So
So
like
the-
I said that time, when can someone be influenced? You can only be influenced by something that is more powerful than you. And it is not only that. It is not only that Yudhishthira was influenced by Kalipurusha. That is also there. There are naikasya ekameva karanam. It is not just one thing is the reason for anything. Ultimately, what not finding the word. Ultimately, what translates as your activity. There are inspirations which are diverse in nature. Of course, Kali influence was there. Yudhishthira can be influenced by Kali. And so is Arjuna also. Arjuna is also an Aparoksha Jnani. But Kali is a very big influence. If there is anybody in the Mahabharata, just get this clear. If there is anybody in the Mahabharata that was not influenced by Kali, ever, Who do you think that is? Kalipurusha in the Mahabharata is Duryodhana himself. It is very well known. And Duryodhana has attempted to influence every one of them. If there is one character in the Mahabharata who is pitted against everybody, including his own friends, including his own well-wishers, pitted against everybody, if there is anybody like that, that's Duryodhana. So he's pitted against everybody, including God. So he tried to influence everyone, and everyone yielded to his influence in one way or the other. You will understand what I am saying if you are familiar with the entire Mahabharata. Otherwise, you may not right away understand what I am saying. In the sense, you will not understand how Duryodhana tried to influence every one of them on various occasions. You will know those occasions only if you are aware of the entire Mahabharata. Several occasions wherein he tried to influence Drona, and he got him. He tried to influence Balarama and got him. He got him. Balarama gave him a word that I will marry my sister to you. Balarama did not fight the battle on either side because he got him. Duryodhana had him under his influence. Duryodhana influenced Ashwathama, who is Rudramsha. Duryodhana influenced Bhishma. Yes, he did. And of course he influenced Dhritarashtra. Duryodhana did not manage to change Vidura. No. But he made him feel weak. For taking the stance of the truth, he made him feel weak. So that was the influence that he wielded on Vidura. But if there is someone in the Mahabharata whom Duryodhana, Kali, could never influence, someone who tried to take a guess who that is?
Bhima.
And? Bhima,
Another answer is Krishna.
And Krishna.
If you will know the beauty of that if you look closely into every occasion that Duryodhana tried to manipulate Krishna and failed. He did not go back thinking that he lost. That is the most intriguing aspect of that. When Duryodhana tried to manipulate Krishna, he went back thinking that he is victorious, thinking that he has won, thinking that he has that his attempts have met with success. But then he only later found out that no, it has not. That is the beauty of Krishna. With Bhimasena, he knew that he would go back thinking that he could not influence. But with Krishna, it happened in a way that Duryodhana, whenever he tried to manipulate Krishna, Krishna answered him in such a way that he looked manipulated. When Duryodhana came asking for help with regard to the armies, alliances to fight in the battle, Duryodhana had his agenda that he should accomplish this much, that any king, any worthy king, any warrior king should either fight on his side, or at least they should not fight on the Pandavas' side. This much. So he came to Krishna with that agenda. And then when Krishna asked him, what do you want? When Arjuna and Duryodhana both were there. So Duryodhana says, I came here first. So that was the first victory of Duryodhana, that he was able to arrive there first. Because that gave him a kind of precedence to ask. Now he thought that he had an advantage with that to manipulate Krishna. Next, he used his wit and he spoke a lot to Krishna, saying that you are not somebody who is partial. You can't be partial. And you are equal to both of us. He used his tactics to play on the mind of Krishna. And Krishna behaved as though he has been overcome. And he said, yes, you're right. Whom do you want to have? And Krishna came up with something that, okay, I will not fight. I will not hold a weapon. So whom do you want? You want me, or you want crores of Narayana Sainya who will fight? Whom do you want? Tell me. And Duryodhana said, of course I want the Narayana Sainya, which fights, and not you who doesn't fight. Of course, if you pick up a weapon and fight, then it would make all the difference in the world to me. But what is the use to me of a Krishna who will not fight? It doesn't make anything to me. Duryodhana wanted others to always fight for him, and if they didn't fight for him, they meant nothing to him. So he had his own equations, he had his games, he had his manipulations, and he employed them very much against Krishna as well. And when he went back from Krishna, he went back thinking that he has been victorious. You understand? That is the level of the strength of Krishna, that he lets him think that he has won. Well, actually he would have lost. These are all close encounters with the Mahabharata. When you see Mahabharata so closely, you will get answers to millions of questions that you might not even be aware of that question has arisen in you. So yes, Kali's influence, Yudhishthira, Aparoksha, maybe he is Aparoksha, but he is still susceptible to being under the influence of Kali. Because Kali is far more powerful than Yudhishthira. The demoniac prowess of Kali far exceeds the divine prowess of Yudhishthira. Does that make sense? Any questions?
Sanath has a query, I think. Please unmute yourself and ask.
Hare Rama Guruji.
Hare Rama.
From your discussion, it seems it seems kind of that it's the prerogative of the inherent sattvic jivas to only cultivate the Devi Guna Sampads. So, what's the way of salvation for those like Duryodhana? I mean, is there any way, or they are condemned to just to be like that, to means be an arch nemesis to God?
No, it's not. Don't see that with the same mindset as you are asking. Okay, like it's like how to say, like some competitive exam, say, which is the most famous one now? NEET. I am not aware of the, or some competitive exam for some job or something. So do they have equal opportunity to apply? Come out of that mindset. To understand this, you need to think in a context which is different from evaluating opportunities when it comes to being able to apply for a job or something like that, or even like compete in some exam of today. That's not. It's a more serious context. It's a more core context. It's not about. It's not. What do you mean opportunity? Like it. If they are not sattvic, they don't see it as opportunity.
So means so this is the inherent difference. Means they will be happy to reject God. Means their inherent happiness will be on that, or what?
Yes, they see a lot of meaning in rejecting God, in demeaning God. In fact, that is the inspiration for all their activity. They try to do in many ways, and if they fail in one way, they try it in another way.
Okay.
think is spreading all the misunderstandings that are prevalent in the world today? The same demons who came in human form or in other forms, and they got killed by either by Krishna or by Bhima or by Pandavas. They got killed in Dwapara, and they found that they cannot do anything to them. So in Kali Yuga, they have come with an agenda that if we can't kill the Pandavas or God, so let us at least remove him from the hearts of people. Let us spread ideas, the theory of evolution on the species. You think that's a seriously scientific book? Does that even conform to any norms of rigor of science? No. The man doesn't know what is a human, what is a living cell. At that time in the 17th, 18th century, when he wrote it, hardly anything was known about the cell. Watson and Crick had not yet found the DNA. The cell looked like some bag of chemicals. He didn't know anything. But then he went on to say that given enough time and natural selection, a whale can become a bear, or otherwise, or the other way around. Which he removed after his first publication. In the second reprint, he removed that. But the joke there is that the very fact that given enough time and natural selection, even a whale can become a bear is the very core of Darwin's theory. Now, if he sees a reason to remove that, I don't think Darwin had any grave reservations about the rest of his theory. So you see, what I'm trying to say is all these ideas and ideologies were thrown around. You don't think that they were just innocent observations and theorizations and speculations and what is the other word from H for theory? What's the other word?
Hypothesis.
Hypothesis. These are not just some lame or innocent hypothesis. No. They are much more intentional than what we could even imagine. So yeah, they are on their agenda, and they see a lot of do that. They are pitted against God, not externally, but to the core. It's very subtle, and anyway, we are not required to be able to say who is a demon and who is not. There are higher faculty agencies who do that. By default, but when it comes to my life or our life, why would I classify myself as a demon? Why would I do that? Unless I already know that I'm a demon. If I know that I already am a demon, means I have my priorities set already. Again, when we come back to the Mahabharata, when Jarasandha and his associates, they had arranged in such a way that Krishna cannot participate. They had arranged for a Swayamvara of Rukmini, and that they had even made arrangements that Krishna would not come there. And then when they found out that Krishna came, they all discussed that he is the source of everything. He is God. He is Paramatma and all that. It comes in the conversation of the demons. And they say, so what if he is? We are pitted against him, and we will go and against him no matter what he is. He can be what he can be what he is, and we will be what we are. So yeah, don't worry about opportunities, equal opportunity. These are all these are all main kind of debates and discussions of today's world, that everyone should have equal opportunity, all that. Life is not like that. Life is, you could say, is not fair as per the parameters of modern consideration. But that's reality. Reality is not forced in any way to conform to our ideas of fairness. It is rather we who have to update ourselves to conform to reality. Reality does not conform to us. We have to conform to reality. Fine. I'll sign out if that's okay. Fine.
Okay,
Hare
Guru.
Ram.
Hare Ram.
Yes, Guruji. Thank you very much. Hare Rama, Guru.
Hare Ram. Shivaratri. Pranayamo Vasudeva.
So we shall end the session for tonight here. Thank you everyone for
I had a question. Can I ask?
yes.
So in Bhagavata Purana, it is said that Parikshit subdued Kali. So does that mean he is powerful than Kali?
No, that was because of the anugraha he had from Bhagwan himself. So actually, the only people who are capable of subduing Kali Purusha are the Ruju Devatas, Lakshmi Devi, and Vishnu himself. Other than them, no one else can do it because Kali originated from Brahma himself.
Okay.
Any more queries? So if there are no more queries, we can end here for tonight, and the next session shall be next week. Thank you for joining. ಧನ್ಯವಾದ. ಶ್ರೀ ಕೃಷ್ಣ ಅರ್ಪಣಮಸ್ತು. ಓಂ ಅಚ್ಯುತಾಯ ನಮಃ, ಓಂ ಅನಂತಾಯ ನಮಃ, ಓಂ ಗೋವಿಂದಾಯ ನಮಃ, ಓಂ ಅಚ್ಯುತಾನಂತ ಗೋವಿಂದೇಭ್ಯೋ ನಮೋ ನಮಃ.
Hare
Hare Rama, brother.
ಹರೇ ರಾಮ.
Hare Rama.